Hi folks, Coach Greg here with another video on indoor soccer strategies and tactics. In today's video, we're going to talk about the transition game from offense to defense or defense to offense. The transition game in indoor soccer is similar to that of outdoor soccer in many ways, but it also is different in a lot of ways, and we'll cover that. There are four basic ways that you can have a transition in indoor soccer. The first is when there's a shot on goal and the keeper takes possession of the ball. When the keeper takes possession of the ball, this is an important concept here because now the entire team is instantaneously on offense. In outdoor soccer, there's a tendency to have that transition feeling or period take a little bit longer. In outdoor soccer, keeper collects the ball. If they're not all the way out to the edge of the 18 already, people turn around, they start running towards the other end of jogging, running toward the other end of the field. Keeper takes a look around, maybe punts the ball goes 60 yards or however far it goes, and then the play reconvenes at the other end of the field. In indoor soccer, it's totally different. As soon as that keeper picks the ball up, everybody's on offense right now. The keeper can take that ball and roll it to somebody who's right there, and all the players are still within proximity, so there's an offensive play happening immediately. The keeper can throw it longer over the one or two lines, depending on your league, and can have that ball be in play in the midfield right away, but it's going to be a faster transition. The second way that there is a transition in indoor soccer is for a steal. Now, there may be more steals in indoor soccer than outdoor soccer because of some of the other videos we talked about. The game is more compact, the players are closer together, and there's more challenging going on than in outdoor soccer. Just by nature of the fact that people are closer together and the ball doesn't go very far. There's a challenge happening almost all the time. So there's more steals, more turnovers by virtue of the fact that somebody takes that ball away. The third kind is an intercepted pass, and that's simply a bad pass. Now, in some of the other videos we talked about the necessity for more accurate passes on indoor soccer. And the fact that the game is smaller, more compact, and there's less room for passing, then we need to make sure our passes are more accurate. Well, if our passes are sloppy or inaccurate, or if we're used to having more room coming from outdoor soccer, there's more opportunities for passes to be stolen, and therefore in indoor soccer there are typically more passes that are intercepted. And finally, the transition game happens in indoor soccer on a rebounded shot. If that shot comes off of that back goal and it misses the frame, then that ball's back in play instantaneously. Now that's a transition time. Now we don't know as soon as that ball hits the back wall whether it's going to be a transition or it's going to be staying on offense, whoever shot it. But if we're on defense and we collect that ball, that's part of the transition game. So those are the four different times of transition for indoor soccer. So what happens in the transition game? The first one we're going to talk about is when we go from defense to offense. When we collect the ball in one of those ways that we talked about, all of a sudden we're on offense. And the first thing we want to do, like we talked about in the offensive strategies, we want to speed up that game. We want to speed up the game as much as we can to be able to get as much advantage as we can as we move down the field. One thing I want to point out to everybody here is that when we use the walls, we want to use the walls judiciously on the transition game. We do not want to use the walls in our own zone and have that ball bounce at a high angle off of our own walls in our own zone as soon as we collect that ball. What that's going to do is just put that ball right back in front of our own goal. So the rule of thumb here, and this is important, is to use the ball when you're going into or out of the neutral zone. So if you're on your defense and you've just collected the ball and you're going to transition to offense, use that wall to move into the neutral zone. So that's going to be a nice glancing pass off of that wall or a glancing pass off of the other side of the wall to get into the neutral zone. What we don't want to do is pass that ball off of the sidewall and have it bounce back into the defensive zone. As we move into the middle third, we want to use that wall also to be able to transition to get it into the attacking zone. And so that's moving into or out of that middle third. We do not want to use the ball. If we collect that ball in the offensive zone, it's challenging to be able to collect that ball unless it's instantaneous to pop it off the sidewall and bounce it back into the middle. If you collect the ball it can be done. Or if you get stuck in the corner, if you steal the ball in the corner, you might want to pop that ball off that back wall right away to be able to pop it back in the middle. But generally speaking, transitioning from defense to offense, we don't want to use that wall in our own third or in the attacking third if we can help it. So when we collect that ball, we want to speed the play up, and we want to use the wall to our advantage to speed it up as we move down the field. Another thing to think about when we transition from defense to offense is, where are we? If we are in their half of the field, and depending on how many players are there, we might want to consider taking a shot right away. When we talk about speeding that game up, part of that is to shoot as soon as we can. Now what that enables us to do is, let's say we collect that ball and there's only one or two players in front of us. It might not be a bad idea to take a shot, especially if we're in their third. What can happen is that ball can bounce off of the back wall, and as our players are picking it back up into the play and transitioning from defense to offense, they are now moving forward to be able to hit that rebound with some power. What we don't want to do, and we've talked about this over and over again, unless you're way outnumbered, if you've got the ball and you're 1v3 on the transition, yeah, you probably want to wait and slow that game down a little bit and wait for your players to catch up. There's nothing going to be gained probably by attacking on a 1v3. So what we want to do is wait for our team. But for the most part, unless we're in a 1v3 or 1v4, we want to speed that game up. When we transition from offense to defense, there's a few things we want to keep in mind. The first thing is we want to stand up the offensive player, the new offensive player, as fast as possible. We want to get in front of them. We want to attack if we can, and we want to challenge wherever we're able to. We want to get in between them and where they're heading, just to try to slow them down as much as possible to allow our teammates to recover. We want to, again, we talked about in defensive tactics, is to slow that game down as much as possible. The most important thing to do in transitioning from offense to defense, and I've been coaching this for a long, long time, is to count the number of players that are coming down the field at any given time. It's very, very important. If this is the only thing you get out of defense in this entire series of videos or out of the book is to count the players as they come down the field, then you're going to know what to do next. If they have 3 people coming down the field and you've only got yourself as a player, then you know that you've got some work cut out for you. But there are times when you can stand up a 1v3 and still be successful. What you want to do is count the number of players. I've got my teammate with me. I got 2 coming down. Now I know it's a 2v2 and I know what I'm going to be able to do. And so we need to be able to assess what their offense looks like as it's coming back down the field towards us. The corollary to that, or the follow-on to that, is as we watch their players come down the field, let's say they attack with 2, we need to be watching that third player, that runner, as that runner might come down the middle or come down the side. That's the most dangerous player, because once you count those players that come down at you on that transition game, then we got to watch for that runner or that behind player that comes in and comes in uncovered. So that's the transition game. As soon as those things happen, we need to be either speeding up the game or slowing down the game, depending on which way we're going. And we need to, on defense, we need to count those players as they come towards us. Hope this has been helpful. There's more detail in the book, Indoor Soccer, Strategies and Tactics. I look forward to seeing you next time here on our videos, Indoor Soccer, Strategies and Tactics. Thanks. Bye.